Nerd Reactor, roll out.
What's up, Reactorites? John here, and it's time to talk about It Chapter 2. This one follows the adult versions of the loser clubs from the previous film, the first film, and I enjoyed that film, the first one. Even though it wasn't as scary, I enjoyed the storyline and the setting, the 80s, the kids coming together, trying to defeat this creature, this Pennywise, this It. And now we have them coming back as adults, almost the present time. And Pennywise is back. He's coming back to haunt them. And now the Losers Club have to come back to Derry, especially when they're older, they're successful, they're doing their own things. What's going to happen? And for me, for this movie, I really wanted to enjoy it just because I enjoyed the first one. And I like, the kids coming back. But this one, almost 3 hours long, and I felt like it was too bloated, and it was going all over the place, especially with the storylines with the adults, because the first act, showing off where the adults are now, what they're doing, how successful they are, and then something bad in Derry happens, and Mike is calling them out like, hey, you gotta come back, we had this pact, we gotta fight this thing, the whole time in the first act. Since I haven't seen the first movie in a while, I'm busy trying to figure out, like, which character is which, who's who. So, like, the first act, like, once I start getting an idea of who the characters are, and then they show some flashbacks so you understand, like, okay, that character's that character. Once I get that figured out, the second act, they come together, and then they separate again. It's like, why? Why? It's like, I know why they're trying to do this. They're trying to make it scary, but you're just getting to know all these characters, because there's a lot of characters in the club. And the thing I liked about the first one was that most of the time it's their journey together, and you really get to understand them. But here it's I feel like it's lost in this film. So like they're gonna experience something different, something scary for each individual character. But then, like, for me, the whole time I was thinking, okay, when are they all gonna come back and just do a story? We're gonna all do things together. Let's talk about Jessica Chastain as Beverly. She's the adult version, and you can tell, like, oh yeah, Jessica, that's the older version of Beverly. She's got the red hair and all that. So here she plays a character. She has a love interest, or there's like some romance blossoming, especially with her character. She's the only female in the Losers Club, and her journey, like probably the highlight for her journey would be that scene with the old lady, and having a polite conversation, but something is brewing, something sinister, evil lurks inside that room, and as you can see in the trailer, she goes kind of crazy. And then you have James McAvoy. He plays Bill. He's the guy that stutters, and so he captures the stuttering part right, but he really does not feel like a main character, especially in a movie like this, where, or especially with an actor like James McAvoy, where he stands out. Like, for me, I loved his performance in Glass and his performance in Split, and I also love him as Professor X. But here he's playing Bill, and it's pretty low key, and it's pretty much his character feels like a supporting character. All these characters are supporting characters to the main thing, which is Pennywise, and Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. He's still creepy. He's still disturbing to look at. But the more you get used to him, the more you're not really as scared as much. The only one that I was disturbed by was the one that was released in the trailer, where you have Jessica Chastain talking to the old lady, and it was a creepy conversation, and then afterwards something happens. And the old lady, something's up with that old lady. But that, to me, was probably the scariest moment, and you already saw most of it in the trailer. The other stuff, it's your typical Pennywise, where he likes to trick kids into coming closer to him, like, hey, how's it going? Smile, and then the next thing you know, he does his thing. Just watching that, it's like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before. There are some cool, elaborate stuff where I thought, oh, this is cool. This is like a superhero film, or an action film, or a sci-fi film, where things come to life and they're trying to get the adults. But when that happens, I'm like, oh, this is cool. But I was never afraid. And, this is supposed to be a horror film. And I guess if it was like an action film, I'll be like, yeah, this is cool. I like it. I enjoy it. Okay, let's go to Isaiah Mustafa, who plays the adult version of Mike. He's the glue that brings everyone together. And he goes on some weird trips. So I'm like, oh, this movie's getting crazy. But if you already read the books, then you already know. But for me, I haven't read the books, so when I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, this is weird. This is getting out there. And the storyline really goes out there, and I'm like, what is going on? So it becomes more of something else and less of like your typical horror movie. And for me, it's like the crazier it gets, the less scared I am. And so this becomes more of another type of movie, and not your traditional sense of a horror movie. But yeah, let's talk about Bill Hader, who plays Richie. Probably the funniest of the cast members. Bill Hader, he's fun to watch, especially with his dynamic, his friendship with Eddie, and they're always bickering. It's just like seeing them, like the older versions, just like back then. And Bill Hader pretty much turns this movie into a comedy. So this comedy feels more like that. And I'm not sure if he was the right fit, because you see him, it's like, oh, this is Bill Hader. And I think with his performance, it kind of takes away from the scary atmosphere of this film. You can have some comedians in horror movies, but there's got to be like a balance. And here, I don't think there was a balance for that, where I really felt like I'm scared for him. More like, let's see what funny thing he's going to do next. But there is a moment near the end where things do turn around. But for the most part, Bill Hader is Bill Hader. So yeah, Andy Bean, he plays Stanley. I was really excited for this role just because Andy, I enjoyed what little role he had in Swamp Thing, DC Universe's Swamp Thing. Very charming, charismatic, and aloof. But here, I just want to say, also, he has a smaller role out of the rest of the characters. And yeah, so I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to see more of him, just to see more of what he can offer. But I can't really say much about it other than if you read the book, you already know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so what I wanted to see more about this film, It Chapter 2, and I know that they really can't deviate much, but I wanted to see more of them just come together strong, like maybe the first act. They're doing their thing, or maybe not even show where they're at the beginning, because it takes too long for them to come back and reintroduce each other. So I would rather have it where they get the ball rolling, where they're already together. It's like, Mike, why'd you bring us back? And then maybe show some flashbacks on what they did before instead of flashbacks of when they were children. But it might be hard to like figure out who's who if you haven't seen the movie in a while, especially with the flashbacks. And the flashbacks do help with that. It's like, oh yeah, he's this when he was younger, and that, and etc. So either way, this is like a tough movie probably to pull off, just because there's so many characters and you're trying to bring them all back. And it's I can understand why it would be tough to pull off. But I would rather have more of a focus as a group throughout the journey instead of coming back and then separating again. And so I really don't get like a connection between how they are with each other, like especially now with Pennywise attacking them. The movie, I feel like it was it's less scary than the first film, because the first film still had that element of surprise, because there's a lot of people that really don't know who or what Pennywise is. And now that they figured out kind of who he is, here he's doing the same thing. And so now you're just watching these adult versions just experiencing scary things all over again. And then the movie does get weirder and weirder, especially with the whole, because you get to learn more about Pennywise and what he's all about. It gets weirder just because of all of that. And if you're okay with it, if you're a fan of the books, you already know what to expect. Like, yeah, I'm all for it. And I think for me, I still wish that there was that element of mystery, because the more they show things about Pennywise, the more I feel like it's kind of hokey, and I'm not even scared anymore. just because I know what it is. It Chapter 2, I'm not scared by it. It goes on for too long, especially with all these characters, reintroducing them and having them being separated and then coming back and then talking and figuring things out and then being separated again. So nothing really about it stood out for me, other than some few action sequences here and there with Pennywise versus the characters. And if it was a comedy, I would enjoy it a lot more. Like, I still enjoyed watching Bill Hader, but if they just did it, the comedy, like, okay, I'm all for this, and I'll probably enjoy it even more. There is one scene I want to talk about. It's the prologue, and it shows you how crappy living in Derry is, especially if you're a person that's gay. And this scene went on, I think, for a little bit too long. I'm not sure what they're trying to get at. Like, I get the message, like, hey, Derry sucks, and the way that the people in Derry thinks are still very hateful, very, very hateful. And I guess it's okay to show that, like, this is sometimes this is what happens in real life. Yeah, I think Stephen King mentioned like something like this happening, and he saw this on the news or something like that, and he wanted to incorporate how hateful things can be. And like, I get the message, but they could have done it where they can shorten it, took some parts out, especially the things involving Pennywise, because I think the Pennywise situation was like a little too much. I'm like, okay, Pennywise, what's your real MO? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to go after certain types of people now or whatnot? I thought everything's fair game, but maybe Pennywise is focused on certain types, and then maybe just kids and all that. If you read the books, maybe you can fill me in on the real motive for Pennywise, because it just feels like he's attacking certain types of people and then kids. But yeah, I'm not really sure what Pennywise is up to or after anymore after the second film, and it just feels like he's like, I'm tired. I'll do whatever I want. So maybe if you read the book, you probably know more. So yeah, those are my thoughts for It Chapter 2. And when the movie comes out, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree. And if you've never seen the movie, I want to hear your thoughts, because this is adapted from the books, and they also had the TV show with Tim Curry playing Pennywise. So yeah, comments below. With that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.